and how we can realize ROI from the investment that we make for deploying RPA bots. So before we start, let me quickly introduce our company, Practice My CFO. We are about 14-year-old organization, India's largest CFO services firm. We have served close to 600 odd clients from India, Middle East, and the US. These clients are generally a mix of family managed businesses, MNCs, startups, MSMEs, VC and PE funded organizations. So we broadly offer two services, Office of CFO and Performance Improvement. So under Performance Improvement, these are those services that we typically offer to the CFOs, mid to large organizations, where we work as the extended arm of the CFO and typically work on project-based mandates. These are typically 3 months to 1 year old, 1 year long mandates, and could be typically around working capital improvement or profitability improvement, business process re-engineering. The use of technology is something which we take very heavily on under the performance improvement side. So the large agenda would be to automate the manual processes and make them automated. The other service that we offer is Office of CFO, in which we typically play the role of a CFO for our clients. So we take the ownership of the strategic or the operational outcome. And under this service, we typically make sure that clients are getting 3x to 10x ROI on the investment that they are making with us. So let's get started with the webinar on RPA. And before we get started with the webinar, let me try and explain this word RPA in a very simple, non-technical language. So as most of you would know, RPA bot is not a physical or a mechanical robot that we're talking about today. The robot in the robotic process automation is a software robot running on a computer. So robotic process automation is nothing but instructing a machine to execute mundane, repetitive manual tasks. So if there is a logical step to performing a task, bot will be able to replicate it. Today, RPA can actually be used in every sub-function of finance function, like procure to pay, order to cash, record to report, general accounting, and many such other functions, which we will be covering in today's webinar. Moving on to the agenda for the webinar. So we will be sharing a couple of live case studies with you where we have actually implemented RPA and the benefit that clients were able to leverage out of that. Breaking a few myths about RPA, I think very, very important that the audience today understands the facts about RPA. An interesting chat session with the speakers, a few interesting polls, and of course, open house for the question answer session. One request to all of you, please keep typing your questions throughout the webinar. We will address all the questions during the webinar or towards the end when we have the Q&A session. So without any further delay, let me introduce my fellow panelists and the speakers for today. We have Meera Balakrishnan. Meera leads our pre-sales function at Practice My CFO, a chartered accountant, having spent more than 15 years in the industry and more than 7 years at Practice My CFO. She brings the practical knowledge of implementing these IT tools and solutions to solve the problem in finance function. We also have Forum Maru. Forum is an RPA specialist. She has been with Practice My CFO for more than 5 years and has been instrumental in developing RPA bots and bringing the efficiencies to our clients. We also have our technical partner firm Nividas on the webinar today, represented by their co-founder Shwetal Desai. Welcome to all the speakers. So moving on to our first section of Q&A with our first panelist, Meera. So I'll invite Meera for a few question answer session. So Meera, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I think there is a perception about RPA bots that they will eat away jobs and make people unemployed. How true is it?
Not entirely true, Ajay. In most cases, RPA bots are only able to automate a portion of an employee's task. These can also be attended bots where humans are needed in supervisory capacity or to deal with exceptions. The same employees can be, upskilled to focus on more creative, innovative, and value-adding activities. The upskilling will increase their confidence, breadth of experience and knowledge, ability to earn better in the future, etc. Yes, there are certain types of jobs which are more susceptible to disruption. Again, not complete discontinuance, and surely not all jobs. Most jobs are just realigned to the new technology-driven processes.
So in nutshell, we can say that RPA bots are actually our friends and not our enemies.
That's true. Keep our minds open to change in technology.
Got it. Could you give us few reasons why people are resisting to adopting this technology?
So today, RPA has proven its value to achieve organizational goals, but getting it right has its challenges. On being one being, resistance. Resistance to RPA could come from the management leadership itself or from the workforce. The main reason in case of workforce is the fear of loss of employment. Other reasons could be arising from the fact that RPA would involve tearing up of existing processes or adopting of new processes, re-architecting for digital workforce approaches, and cleaning up the old messes. Employees are generally averse to these additional responsibilities. On the other hand, for management, the reasons could be concerns over IT security and compliances, apprehension about being able to manage the organization-wide change, fear of failure leading to chaos, lack of leadership talent to create a comprehensive RPA strategy and roadmap, or simply lack of technical expertise within the organization. There could be many more actually. However, there are ways to overcome this resistance, like, for example, creating a strategy upfront, choosing the right tasks and processes to automate, including the workflows in evaluating and shortlisting these processes and tasks. Effective communication across all levels in the organization, clear direction to the teams regarding the new architecture, even explaining the new and modified job roles to the employees involved will help a lot. Involving on the ground business users, also employing external experts for the implementation itself to mitigate the risk a bit. So these could go a long way actually in overcoming this resistance.
Got it. So probably that's where Practice My CFO would come in and help the
Yes.
client. Got it. Meera, could you give us few specific situations or criterias for any company to deploy RPA bots, which the listeners and viewers today can take home and implement in their organization?
Very important question, actually. The very first must have for success in an RPA journey is to identify the right tasks and processes to be automated. There are certain parameters here, and I believe these have to be strictly followed while choosing the processes to be automated. Like static rule-based processes and tasks, not requiring critical thinking or decision making. The tasks or the processes have to be voluminous, repetitive in nature. They could be performed in off-peak hours. The entire process has to be data-driven. The current error rates are high in these processes, or there's a possibility of error rates becoming high, in scalability in the future. Being mindful of these parameters will go a long way in achieving success, whether in monetary terms or the softer aspects.
Got it. So thank you, Meera. I think this was very helpful. Could you also define few benefits for our viewers if clients were to deploy RPA bots? What kind of benefits that they can expect from the RPA?
Some of these are actually very obvious, like up to 100% accuracy, with AI and ML being part of this process, this is more achievable today. Then easy scalability in the future. Future increase in volumes can be, absorbed easily and with minimal disruption and with minimal costs as well. Better efficiencies. Now, this is something that people tend to ignore. All benefits are not monetary. So bots will never overrule the logic or steps that are set in the process, whereas humans could find ways to circumvent the process, even if you put industry best practices process in place. Then faster turnaround time. Speed is the obvious greatest advantage of deploying bots, of course. An interesting thing, according to Automation Anywhere, RPA can complete tasks up to 70% faster than humans. Moreover, bots are active and productive 100% of the time compared to average human employee, who is only productive, 60% of the times. Apparently, an average employee gets interrupted from work 56 times a day. Can you believe it, Ajay?
Yeah, this is very interesting. Now, 56 times can be, from their managers or from their family, or if somebody is bachelor, probably from their girlfriends and boyfriends. But you're right. I think bots may not have girlfriend and boyfriends and spouses to disturb them, and that's the reason they are 100% available. Um, Very true, Mira. So, Mira, maybe a last question, and slightly taking cue from the topic that we have is the ROI. So, how easy it is to achieve ROI in an RPA project, and what are the timelines that the clients can expect to achieve that ROI from the RPA project?
Again, another interesting and critical question, actually. So, Gartner's chief of research and analyst, Francis Karamazov, has stated that 96% of clients are getting real value from RPA, and the satisfaction rates were higher than she has ever seen in the last 17 years of her career at Gartner. Very interesting, actually. ROI and RPA projects can be reaped by businesses from the first year of deployment itself. We've seen that, Ajay, with our clients as well. McKinsey Digital has found that automating business processes with RPA can result in an ROI of between 30 to 200% in the first year itself. But however, I think it's important to choose the right processes to automate in order to achieve this. As I mentioned earlier in our conversation, repetitive, voluminous, rule-based, etc. Along with that, change management and project management also plays a critical role in realizing this ROI. Additionally, we must not forget that ROI continues to outperform expectations when it comes to non-financial benefits such as accuracy, timelines, flexibility, improved compliance, etc.
Very interesting and insightful, Meera. Thank you so much. I think one thing that you mentioned about ROI being anywhere from 30x to 100x, I think as an organization, practice still commits, very conservatively 10x to 100x. So I think these studies by McKinsey's and Gartner really proves that ROI is really, really a tangible phenomena and just not something in the air. So we can easily achieve that. Again, depends on what kind of problem we are trying to solve. So thank you so much, Meera. We'll come back to you. Let me move to the next section where we would like to showcase one of our client case studies, for which let me invite our RPA implement specialist, Forum, who was instrumental during this project delivery. So Forum, welcome.
Thank you, Ajay, for explaining it so well about the RPA introduction, and Meera for answering the question so beautifully. So I'll take it up from here. Let me walk you through a case study where we implemented a reconciliation process with the help of a bot, where the entire, the process was done manually earlier by two departments, accounting and collections, and how it was, the process was easily being maintained and managed by bot. So the client which we worked around with was a multi-speciality hospital having multi-locations and having generating around 200 crores of receipts from insurance companies and TPM. So if you heard about correctly, if the process was being done manually, so the entire process what we followed out there was being done by first downloading the bank statements, figuring out the claim receipts which have been received from insurance companies, tracking down the UTR, managing, then again, sharing the receipts with the collection team. Then they further do a reconciliation for each of the receipts. So this entire process used to take daily almost 72-hour man days, and this was being a repetitive manual work. So we clearly understood what the problem which was faced by the client. What we saw from the client's perspective was that they wanted to reduce the number of hours which were being deployed here, and they wanted to use these manpower in actually efficient job where they were managing it so well. Other problem that we saw was this entire process was taking so much time that the collection days were increasing. So the next step or the next problem, as I can say, they wanted me or to increase the efficient process, which can be done within a few days or few minutes. And what we also understood was the cache which was blocked was also very high. So the client's expectation raised from not only just to create reduction of the man days or improving the cash flow, but actually set a process which will automate this entire process so that it doesn't include the man hours which are being deployed. So let me do one thing. What I'll show is introduce a friend which I worked with. I actually named it Gary, who used to work round the clock 365 days. He never had any technical barriers, always was available. And as and when the command was given, it already worked with what the process we wanted to see. So now I'll showcase the video of how bot actually function at the client place, and how this process was changed from entire manual process to the entire automated process. Allow me a moment, please. This is a quick video of how we can see bot is functioning for the entire process in an automated way. As you can see, bot and Gary has started downloading the claim receipts. It is downloading the bank statement as well, and actually saving it in each of the Excel files where the command has been given. Once the files have been saved and have been opened, each of the files are getting saved in a specific format and the command which has been given. Further, once the reconciliation file gets prepared for each of the transactions. As you can see, it is calculating the difference at the moment. Once the summary file is being maintained, what Gary does is it gives a command to start with the accounting system. So it will give an action to first close all the files which are not necessary, post which once the files are closed, it gives a command to actually open the ERP with the set credentials. Once it is logged in, it goes on to saving the voucher date, the accounts which have been affected, the transaction which it needs to take care of, and if you see how quickly it functions with knowing each and every data. Once each and every transaction is being noted down, as you can see, it also knows which particular taxation that needs to be covered up here. Post that, it also starts knocking off the debtors. And lastly, if you see, the narration has also been maintained as per the transaction which needs to be given. So each of these steps are being done. I mean, previously we have given the command, and based on that, how Gary knows how to prepare each and every for each and every statement it takes care of. Once this is done, what it does, it saves the file, it opens it in the Excel format, it writes down a summary format and saves it in one of the paths. As soon as it is done, it does the basic formatting and it copies the entire summary file and shares it with the stakeholders to whom this needs to be sent. So this can be done n number of times, the command can be given, or it can be done automatically as per the set time and as per the time has been already set for the bot to run. So this entire process has been completed and the mail has been sent. So as you can see, this entire process was quite efficient. We also saw how quickly, within 2 to 2.5 minutes, the entire reconciliation was done. So what we noticed that this entire process took what it used to take around 72 man hours. It took around 2.5 minutes for the bot to perform. So the ROI what we generated was around 6x, and it released the cash flows up to 6 crores within very quickly. So don't we all wish to have Gary in our offices? To you, Ajay.
Thank you, Forum. I think the other Gary that I knew was Gary Kirsten,
Yeah.
who was South African batsman, extremely famous and extremely efficient. He went on to become the Indian coach as well, Indian cricket team coach as well. And under his guidance, we won the World Cup as well, 2011. But this Gary definitely gives a lot of competition to Gary Kirsten. So you're definitely making Gary name a lot more famous.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Forum. Let's utilize this time to engage our audience with a couple of questions. So Murtaza, if you can have our audience poll and a couple of questions for the audience, which can probably help us understand if these are the same problems that they are facing as well. So the first question is, do you believe there are repetitive tasks that can be automated in your finance department? It is possible that you don't know it yet, and probably that's where we'll come in and we'll help you identify. But please do answer in yes, no, or don't know. So please click on the link which is there. So 81% of the respondents are saying yes. So you definitely feel that there are repetitive tasks that can be automated. 11% are saying no. So which means you are very clear that there are no repetitive tasks in your finance department. That could be that you have already automated it. But interestingly, 8% are saying that they don't know. Excellent. So you guys can continue to share your feedback. This poll will be live. Murtuza, can we have our second poll? So did you find the reconciliation bot that Forum presented to be useful? The Forum is saying yes. So I think she's trying to influence the audience here. Don't get influenced. So if you feel that this was a really useful bot, you can use it. Please answer yes. If you feel it was not useful, please answer no. No matter if you have utilized this bot in your organization or not, but given the example that was presented, you feel it was useful for the client. So 97% of the people feel it was really useful. Forum, don't be disheartened. There are 3% of the people who are saying it was not, but 97% are still saying it was useful. Thank you so much, Murtuza. Let's get back to Meera for further questions. Meera, I'll probably invite you once again. And yes, the answer to that is yes, we can use RPA and other functions as well. So Meera, moving on to our session on question answer, you just saw what Forum presented. Clearly a 6x ROI to our client, which was delivered. For our listeners, could you give few examples of the projects which could provide them quick ROIs so that they can actually correlate with their environment?
Sure. So if we were to speak only about F&A processes, the more generic ones and industry agnostic ones, it could be vendor invoice processing and transaction entry, which is there in all kinds of industries. All kinds of reconciliations actually, bank reconciliation, credit card, GST 2A reconciliations, TDS reconciliations, etc. Then document reading, that's something that a bot can do. Any kind of document. F&A help desks can be automated using chat bots. If I were to take some industry specific examples, then revenue side reconciliations, which is very critical for retail and e-commerce kind of industries. Then managing the entire distributor support system through chatbots in an FMCG or pharma or similar businesses which has a large distributor network, etc. So these are easy and quick wins. Easy to implement, you can see the benefits immediately. But you can pretty much use bots in all sub-functions of F&A in some form or the other, O2C, P2P, R2R, etc. Now, I actually remember a use case here where a reconciliation bot deployed in a large insurance broking company gave immediate ROI and up to 100%. The bot would reconcile the brokerage bookings with the insurance company statements. Now, these were voluminous. The line items ran into lakhs per day. There was a 10 plus member team to do the reconciliation itself. So once the bot was deployed, the team was needed only to handle exceptions. In this case, can you imagine the potential to reduce DSO, improve working capital and cash flow, and to achieve a large ROI immediately. And we are not even talking about FTEs or workforce retention, etc. over here at all.
Excellent, Meera. And I think while you were speaking, there are a few questions that are coming in. Probably we'll address them towards the end. But I think large part of the questions that are coming in are from this question itself, where people are interested to know which are the other projects, areas where Gary can be used. So Forum, we can see your Gary is already getting famous.
Yeah. So the list is long, and it'll be kind of difficult to say it all here in the webinar. But Ajay, while we have discussed what is RPA, what are bots, how do they function operationally, we also saw an example. I'm also actually curious to know a few things from the perspective of a salesperson. What's your sense about RPA as a solution? What are the challenges that you and your sales team face in the market when proposing an RPA solution?
Excellent question, Meera, but extremely difficult to answer that question. But I'll try my best to maybe give you some sense in terms of this challenge. And what I would do is I will try and divide this question into two parts. My answer into two parts. So one is the kind of clients that we deal with who are uninformed about RPA, and the second type of clients who are informed about RPA. So clients who are informed about RPA, for them, I think the challenge for us is that they expect ROI in a very short period. And this could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. And most likely, in cases where RPA gives the ROI, is typically anywhere from 12 months to 18 months. Again, totally depends on the kind of problem that we are trying to solve. But the clients could be on a budget constraint, and hence he expects a very short period of ROI within 3 months to 6 months. The other set of clients which are uninformed about RPA, I think for them the challenge that we face is more like a resistance from their team members, either due to fear of job loss or resistance to status quo. I think that's how I would kind of divide my answer.
I actually like this interesting classification of, informed prospects and uninformed prospects. That brings me to my next question. What is a typical investment required for RPA deployment?
Meera, I think you are on a spree of asking difficult questions. Another good question, I think, for the audience, but it's again a very difficult question to answer because I cannot put one figure on the investment because it totally depends what problem we are trying to solve. So it could be anywhere from 5-6 lakhs to say 40-50 lakhs. Okay, but I can try and answer it differently. Any investment that the client makes, they can definitely expect anywhere from 10x to about 100x ROI. And this was in fact validated by the reports that you were talking about, the research findings that you were talking about, which McKinsey and Gartners of the world kind of published, where they said 30x to 100x. I think we are still very conservative. At practice, with our experience, we are saying that 10x to 100x is quite possible. Again, depending upon the problem that we are trying to solve. But Meera, I guess we've got a role reversal. The idea was that I'll be asking the question because you are the expert.
Asking questions is also part of my expertise.
Well, that is something I got to know about you today. But anyways, I think we're talking about experts. So let me invite the experts here. Another expert, Shwetal Desai, who is the co-founder of Nividus. A quick introduction about Nividus. It's a decade-old organization, pioneer in hyper-automation. Nividus has also been recognized by top analyst research firms like Gartner and Forrester. So welcome again, Shwetal.
Thank you.
Shwetal, tell us something about hyper-automation. I mean, I know this term has been coined by Gartner. Forrester calls it intelligent automation. So what exactly is the difference? I mean, could you tell us and our viewers in simple forms?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And that's an interesting question. But before I address that, let me just, talk about the fact that, this is something that is being thrown around a lot, but like you said, it means many different things in many different analysts, uh, you know, uh, research papers. But essentially, it boils down to holistic automation. So essentially, people start with RPA, and they build out more intelligence using artificial intelligence, and then they add end-to-end process automation using BPM, and that's what really forms your end-to-end process automation, which is nothing other than holistic automation, which is hyper automation. So again, to repeat, RPA augmented with machine learning to give it human intelligence, and then you add humans working alongside bots using BPM, business process management, gives you holistic hyper automation. Uh, to give you a little idea, uh, I can take you to my next slide, which will dwell a little deeper into that. Can we have the next slide, please? So the Nividus platform actually addresses hyperautomation at its core by allowing multiple products that adhere to the requirements. So we have Studio, from where you would actually build out BPM and RPA processes, then deploy them on bots. Also have them deployed in Control Center, from where you would then be able to have the BPM processes executed by humans. And there are smart bots, which are machine learning components. Can we move on to the next slide, where I can talk a little more deeper into what would it mean to use hyperautomation in your company or your enterprise? So finance and accounting are pretty much very good areas where you can start exploring the usage of hyperautomation. Most people start with bots, and a good place to start usually for them is where there's a lot of work being done. So invoice processing is pretty much in procure to pay in particular. So there are of course many different areas in finance and accounting, but let's take procure to pay as an example. And invoice processing in particular has a lot of heavy lifting of human labor, where you have to lift and shift a lot of data from invoices. So invoice collection, entry, all of that is part of invoice processing, where you could start first with highly automable processes, and then move on to other areas where payment processing could come in, where you could run your payments. Again, a more automable process. Then you could go on further to different areas that cover receiving goods and services, and in particular receipt processing. And then if you want to expand a little further, you go into report generation and generate your standard reports and distribute them. Go into beyond. So basically, you start chaining them all. You go beyond into other areas where you would then be, purchase orders, purchase requisitions would come in the picture, where you start now expanding the scope further, and uh, finally get into the procurement and activities around that. So essentially, you can start bottom up rather than top down. Start with RPA bots in specific different areas, chain them together, add human tasks to it, and slowly your entire evolution of your end-to-end enterprise automation landscape comes together. A good example, let's take it a little further. Let's talk about accounts payable in particular. So if you can go to the next slide, we will talk about one case study. Please move on to the next slide, please. So consumer case study, consumer goods company is the case study. And the challenge over here was that there were, high operational costs. There were more than, 400 different vendors that needed to be automated. The invoices for 400 vendors had to be automated. 10,000 invoices a month. Very intense, labor-centric activities. Also, two-way, three-way matching to integrate with the ERP system to be able to also, do a line item match and stuff. So let's go into an actual demo for this and see what it really meant. They were no this company was able to reduce their end-to-end turnaround time down to reduce it by 85%. They were able to reduce their FTEs by more than 50%. So there were many significant advantages. But let's run through a video over here to give you a demo and a sense of what that actually means. uh, can we run the video, please? So hyperautomation comes in various flavors. This being applied to invoice processing, in particular accounts payable, is what you're about to see. So as a person who is going to be processing invoices, or rather as a vendor, let me start from the vendor story. I would upload my invoice to a vendor portal. Automatically, the data would be extracted and presented to me. As a vendor, I would get to see some of the data that is going to flow beyond into the next person who's going to be approving it. I would also get a good status and overview as to where my invoice currently lies. A lot of problems are centered around this, the status, where things are, and how will I get my payment. So now it moves on to where you would actually log in as a user, and as a manager, actually, you will see exactly where the status. Using BPM, you'll be able to see the status of where it lies, and then also through interesting dashboards, be able to see everything that is centered around the invoice. How many approvals are pending, how many have been approved, which month, and various other details that you would need around your payments and invoices and your vendors. So what I would then go in as a manager who has to approve this, I would be able to have a left and right side view of exactly the invoice that was uploaded, and to be able to validate all the fields against it contextually right there, and be able to also modify if there are some corrections to be done. So this is very, very easy. It saves a lot of labor. A lot of the heavy lifting is already done. Most of them can be straight through processing. It also extracts all the data from the ERP and does line item matches here for the goods received notes, the purchase order. If it's a purchase order based invoice, a PO based invoice, all of these line items would be able to add up. The quantities would be able to add up, and it will alert me to anything which is out of the ordinary. So you can see already that as soon as this is completed, the bot, RPA bot, takes over, takes all this data, feeds it into the internal ERP system, and you are done, just like that. So very easy end-to-end processing is completed right from the vendor. Vendor, uploads it to the time that it is approved and entered. So there are multiple, individuals, vendor, internal employees, as well as bots taking part in this end-to-end process automation. A classic example of hyper automation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vedal. I think this was really, really insightful. I definitely learned a few new things about hyper automation today. So before opening the question answer session, I would just request Murtaza to have a couple of audience polls again, and then we open the house for question answers. I think we already have got a lot of questions in the chat box. So I will start reading it one by one after the polls. Just a very quick question to all the audience. Did you know about hyper automation before Shwetal presented today? I think it will be very interesting to know. Quite an informed audience, I must say. 32% are saying that they were already aware about it, but 65% were not. So I think Shwetal, your insights were really helpful.
Thank you.
Okay. Murtaza, can we move on to the next one? While the votes can keep coming, 72% are saying that they were not aware. Again, did you find the AP bot which Shwetal presented? Did you find it useful? Yes, no, if you're not sure, not sure. This obviously has to be in the context of your organization. Again, very interesting votes coming in. 62% saying that yes, it was useful. 37% are saying not sure. But nobody's saying no. That's a good thing. Great. I think let's open the question answer session. So let me start reading it one by one. And while we are asking the question, I will ask both Meera and Shwetal to be available on the. Got it. So first question, Nagabhushan asked, can we use RPA and other functions as well? The answer is yes. Can Gary also work on non-standard data? Meera, would you like to take this up?
Yeah. So there are bots, smart bots, who can actually work on non-standard data. But this is again not a very blanket yes that I can say, because it's important to see what that non-standard data is and whether it can be converted into standard data and whether it can be converted into the conversion itself can be logical steps that the bot can perform. So in cases of non-standard anything, I mean data or documents or processes, etc., the best thing to do is to get it first assessed to see whether a bot can be deployed and whether you will get your results. I mean, even if after the bot is deployed, your straight through processing is just 30%, let's say, and 70% still turns out to be an exception. There is really no point in deploying the bot. So best is to get your data assessed in that case. So again, I don't know what data you're talking about and in which form it is.
So I think Shant's question is also rephrased in a different way, but I think it was the same question where he was talking about organized and unorganized data. So I think that answers. Nagabhushan's next question is, what about MIS analysis?
Mhm.
And will it only help in reconciliation? Can it create MIS by linking to the ERP? I think there's a automation angle involved in this and not exactly RPA. So Meera, you can answer it accordingly.
Shwetal, do you want to take this and I can add on?
Sure. Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So the question is, can the MIS be linked to ERP and then MIS analysis can be done through RPA bot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what an RPA bot is for. I mean, anything that you would need to do that has human potential, that it requires lifting and shifting data, which requires you to go into third-party systems to be able to extract, reconcile. These are classic areas for bots. So MIS systems, for sure, these are areas that bots are used very often.
Got it.
I'll add to what Shwetal is saying also. So bots can be actually used to extract, just like the way humans can log in and extract data out of ERPs. Bots can actually be programmed to do the same, extract the data or take a dump of the data from the ERP, work on that dump, so model and massage that data. So the entire set of logic, steps, and rules can be built to ultimately give you your MIS in a predetermined format.
Got it. Kalpen's other question is, will it always help in reconciliation only? I think we did try and answer that.
Answer
That
that.
reconciliation is just one part of the use case, but there are multiple other areas where RPA bots can be used. Manish Sharma's question is, can Gary do audit ledger scrutiny as well?
Yeah. So
The
I'll take
answer,
that question.
yeah,
So there are bots, there are audit bots as well. So these bots are particularly programmed to do audits the way humans do it. So they will go through a number of transactions, voluminous line items, tell you what doesn't seem right in that, throw out the exceptions. And the exceptions can be looked into by auditors. So where you have large volumes of data, even today, there are a lot of audit bots deployed by large audit firms.
got it. That's really helpful, Meera. So Shijit also actually tried answering the previous question where RPA can be used in various functions, which we also
Yeah.
covered in the PPT, that it can be used in P2P, O2C, R2R. The next question which Kumar asks is, Tally shown in the demo, which is the forums video, is it at product level company? Is it at product level, company level?
Yeah, it's a transaction level product and
Data.
transaction both.
Rohit Jain's next question is, O2C, P2P, bank reconciliations are low-hanging fruits. Use cases. So can you please tell us more dynamic use cases? For example, MIS reporting. So while we may not be able to show you anything on today's call, Rohit, but we can definitely connect offline and walk you through how we can help you in MIS reporting as well. I think Meera also did try and cover
Yeah.
two parts of that question. I am.
Yes. So there are. So let's say an example of a bot in a distributor management system or a Salesforce management stuff is where you can actually deploy a chatbot. This is again not a finance bot, right? You can actually deploy a chatbot to answer all the queries that are raised by the sales team to the finance team or the distributors directly to the finance team. So it actually relieves the finance team of a lot of the time that goes in, picking up the phones and answering the calls of the sales force or of the distributors directly. Now, these questions are usually, what are the invoices pending? Why am I, why is my account statement a few rupees here and there from yours? Or what are the new products that are there? What are the incentive schemes that are there? So these are the questions that come from distributors or from the sales force itself. So all this can be completely automated using chatbots. This is an example of a non-reconciliation, non-standard bot.
Got it. The next question that Prashant Kumar Sinha has is, will it help for manually written data also, and how much can we rely on the accuracy part? What about use cases regarding scanning copy of handwritten data? So I'll try probably answer this question. So Prashant, there are on top of the RPA bots, we have these OCR technologies, which is optical character recognition, which is on top of the RPA bots we can use, in which the bots can actually read what is written. So take an example of the vendor invoices. If these are printed invoices, 100% accuracy can be achieved and the entire data can be uploaded in the system. However, if it is manually written, then it totally depends what kind of handwriting are we talking about. If it is an handwriting of a doctor's, then I think you can forget about it. It's not going to be possible. But if it's a good handwriting, I think bots today have the efficiency of anywhere from 60-70% to about 80-90% as well. But the bots can actually read. Meera, if you want to add something to this.
Yeah, actually, this is because of the use of AI and ML, where the bots get trained to read even a difficult handwriting and over a period of time. So, if the bot is trained for 50, 100 invoices, then it becomes efficient.
Got it. While we are waiting for other questions, Murtaza, if you can share our feedback survey on the chat box itself. We're talking about bots so much that I'm calling this chat box a chat bot. If you can just put it on the chat box, probably viewers can share their feedback. Please do take 30 seconds and give us the valuable feedback. It will be really helpful for us. So in the meanwhile, Chandrasekhar has another question. How much does an invoice generation bot cost for a small or a medium-sized company? Does bot services can be procured under SaaS model where pricing can be on a per page basis? So yes, the answer is yes. It can be. It is under SaaS model as well, and it can be deployed for a small or a medium-sized company as well. And I think the cost per invoice will be anywhere from 20 to about 25 rupees per invoice. Meera, do you want to add something?
No, there's nothing more to add.
So, hi, this is Chandrasekhar here.
I can say.
Uh, when you say bots, I mean, it's like, where do we get this access? Do you have these bot services, or is there a service provider who can give the service?
Sure. So it has two parts to it, Chandrasekhar. One is that we will have a partner through which we will be able to um, deliver that service. However, there will be a functional assessment that we will have to do in terms of your existing data, in at what level of maturity it is at. So all that will be done by the team My CFO. and probably we can connect with you. We have your details. We will connect with you offline, and we will walk you through the entire process and how we can help you do that.
Okay. So I personally I do provide CFO services, and a few of my clients are looking for such kind of solutions.
Sure.
So
So we can definitely connect with you offline, and we can take this forward.
okay.
Sure. So the next question that Arun Vedak has is how it covers the data security of organizations. Whenever technology automation is involved, the question arises about the security and its confidentiality. Shwetal.
Shwetal, you want to take that? Yeah.
Yeah, so data security is something that an organization certainly has to look at. Most of the times, these bots are running within your organization, and in that case, they're all protected already. It is the same firewall, the same security that would apply to other systems. There are two parts to security. One is not only the data security, but also credentials. So many times the bot would end up using credentials of an individual. For example, if you're accessing one of your internal systems, accounting systems, for example, like a tally that we saw, it would use one of the credentials of an existing individual. In that event, it would come from a vault. These are very secure vaults that are available in RPA products, and ours is no different, where you would be able to create a vault for each individual that needs to have these credentials shared with the bot. And you can have a detailed audit trail also as to what the bot did. So you'll be able to make sure that everything is covered and you're secure.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shwetal. So Chandrasekhar says that he missed this session, and will the recording be available on YouTube or Facebook? Yes, Chandrasekhar, it will be available on our LinkedIn page on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you follow our My CFO page on LinkedIn, you will be able to find that. And if you don't, please do that. Please do follow. Force Multiplier says that kindly connect with me offline and we'll be interested in partnering with your organization. Sure, we'll do that. So we have about 3-4 minutes left. Happy to take any more questions.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Manav Gokhale. I joined in as Force Multiplier. An interesting question I have is, assuming that there is an automation which is already being done on the shop floor, and there is already collection of data happening, can costing-based chatbots be deployed to see what is the kind of savings you're going to get in costing, or the kind of percentage efficiency improvements which can be justified as what you might call as ROI against working functions be done?
Got it. So Shwetal, Meera, who wants to take this up?
Sure. So the answer is yes, that can be done. How do we do it? So this is nothing different from creating, firstly, an MIS report with respect to what is your standard costing, what is your today's costing, what should be the ideal costing for what you're producing at your factory, etc. So getting out that reports, etc., doing the variance analysis, telling you where exactly things are going wrong, that can be done by the bot. While the decision on why it is going wrong, what should be done to plug the issue, how do we bring in better efficiencies, I think that is something which would need critical thinking, and humans will have to do it. Shwetal can add to this answer.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. So yes, you covered it very well. And in RPA, anything that has to be measured on an ROI, it is certainly available, but you will have to have some analysis, like Meera mentioned, in terms of what you're really measuring, how you want to measure it, generating reports, and of course, ROI can be manifold. Okay, so ROI is not always in monetary terms. There is also ROI in terms of the delivery times, quality of delivery. For example, if a chatbot is trained to do something accurate almost always the first time around. That's a highly qualitative assessment of the delivery of a chatbot versus a human would error in judgment. There would be training involvement for every new person that comes in. Whereas a bot always, almost always, will function in the same program manner. So there are multiple ways you can assess the ROI, and it's not just quantitative.
Sure. Appreciate the answer. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. We are just 1 minute away. Let me just quickly summarize that. And before that, people who are still on the webinar would request them to just take 30 seconds and provide their valuable feedback. So quickly summarizing, I think the more people become aware about RPA, the adoption rate will increase and so will the job satisfaction. What I can sense is that RPA is going to become a necessity in the coming years. It will no longer be a luxury. So with that, we're signing off. Thank you so much, Shwetal, Meera, Forum for joining us. We'll be back next month with another topic, another speakers. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good day.